out of touch with reality. How is it with you? Do you recognize when others, loved ones, those who are in your sphere of influence, come to wake you up to realize what is actually going on? Do you recognize that? Or do you sleep right through it, snoozing them away? God calls Jonah to preach to Nineveh, so he finds a ship and goes to Tarshish the opposite way. A big storm erupts. Jonah is asleep. The sailors are afraid for their life. They wake up Jonah. After casting lots, they find Jonah is the problem source. And Jonah says, yes, it's me. Throw me overboard. They do. And so a whale is there. And the Bible says a big fish or a whale swallows Jonah. Jonah is swallowed. 3 days he spends in the heart of the whale. He prays to God, and God commands the whale to go and cast Jonah out on the shore. And now Jonah goes to Nineveh. He preaches, and lo and behold, the city of Nineveh repents. They're not destroyed. Jonah sits outside the city waiting for the destruction to happen. It doesn't happen. He is displeased. The sun is hot, and the plant, the gourd there that gourds, and the worm comes and eats it, and Jonah is angry. And God has this discussion with Jonah where God is trying to teach Jonah something about himself. This is really a summary of the story. You can read it quickly to refresh the details if you wish in 4 chapters, but that's the summary of the whole story. The practical lessons for us is what we want to focus on. The most amazing thing about it, first off, is you have a prophet of God receiving a direct instruction and a mission, and he turns around and runs in total rebellion, which seems utterly absurd. You know, Jonah, what's wrong with you? God told you to do this. He goes in the opposite direction and runs. He just will not do it. And this is a prophet of God, no less, running from God. And the question is for us, are you running from God? Have you ever been like Jonah, knowing the right thing to do, the right place to be, and you do the exact opposite to what God says, 180 degrees. You know, if you look at the map, Tarshish is pretty much the opposite direction to Nineveh. Instead of going this way, Jonah goes this way. How many times have you been like Jonah? Whatever reason you might have to justify such a decision. Sometimes a friend or a family member might see what's happening with us and try to wake us up from our slumber, from our path of disobedience, from our path of rebellion. But we can be so far gone that we don't recognize the signs along the way that God is trying to wake us up with these signs, and we fall asleep through them. We just cruise through them, not recognizing them. And they might negatively impact those who are around us, and they're trying to wake us up. And that's what happened in the story of Jonah. And so they woke him up. So the question again to you and me is this: what are you doing? You see, Jonah's behavior did not match the circumstances that surrounded him. There was a dangerous storm, and yet he was fast asleep. What caused him to be in that circumstance? His rebellion in going against what God had told him to do. So how is it with you today? What are you doing? How are you making your decisions? Are you awake to the circumstances that are around you? And does your behavior match the circumstances? Or are you like Jonah, fast asleep in the belly of the ship, unaware of really what's going on, out of touch with reality? How is it with you? Do you recognize when others, loved ones, those who are in your sphere of influence, come to wake you up to realize what is actually going on? Do you recognize that? Or do you sleep right through it, snoozing them away? You know, sometimes we snooze our alarm in the morning when we're waking up and we're still kind of half asleep. We just hit that snooze button and we are not aware exactly what time it might be and the time passing. And you might wake up a little later with a bit of a shock and realization, oh no, I missed my appointment. That's a smaller example, but it can be a lot more fearful and serious when we don't recognize what's going on and we just snooze along. Are you awake, or can you see the signs that God sends your way? It might be through friends, through loved ones. It might be through a message just like this one today that you're listening to. You never really know. How is it with you and how is it with me? When we turn our back to God, we don't only go down, but we impact others around us and we impact them negatively. These sailors that were on the boat with Jonah, these poor sailors who happened to pick up Jonah and give him a ride, they found themselves in a big mess because of what Jonah had done. They did not do anything. They were happy on their way, trading, doing business, traveling. But because of Jonah's decision, not only did he go down, but he brought others down with him. He distressed them. He caused their life to be in peril. He negatively impacted those who were around him, those who were associated with him. They were terrified for their lives. As a matter of fact, they found him asleep and they were shocked. And they said, "Wake up and pray to your God. Don't you realize we are about to die?" So having to wake him up is also an interesting detail. Not only does running away brings us down and impacts us on others negatively, but it causes us to be in a state of a slumber. It causes us to be in a stupor. Jonah was asleep in the midst of a raging storm that threatened their lives. And everybody was aware of it. Everybody was awake, trying to do something about it, except for Jonah, who was fast asleep. So not only do we go down, we impact others negatively, but our sense and our awareness of what is going on is so diminished that we lose touch with reality. Jonah was sleeping in the middle of a life-threatening storm. He had to be woken up by those who were present. Sometimes a friend or a family member might see what's happening with us and try to wake us up from our slumber, from our path of disobedience, from our path of rebellion. But we can be so far gone that we don't recognize the signs along the way that God is trying to wake us up with these signs, and we fall asleep through them. We just cruise through them, not recognizing them. And they might negatively impact those who are around us, and they're trying to wake us up. And that's what happened in the story of Jonah. And so they woke him up. So the question again to you and me is this: what are you doing?
If you like this clip and you want deeper insights, then you can watch the full message by clicking here. And if you want to study the Bible with me and strengthen your faith, then join me and enroll at the Bible Academy right here. I'll see you there.